everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in the season finale of the X-Men 97 series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney+, check that out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down everything from the season finale of the X-Men 97 series, it's Jon Rico!
Yeah.
All right. We promised we were going to do it.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
It took so much restraint not to do it the last couple of episodes anyway, but...
Oh, it creeped out.
Holy shit. Holy shit. So much happened.
We got our supersized episode like I wanted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and even more so, we got an end credit scene too. First time for that too. It was like
classic Marvel.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, it was awesome. I mean, I literally wrote the first two words I wrote on our rundown for this episode was "holy shit." Like, and that pretty much accurately describes how I feel about this finale. I mean, this series in general has been incredible throughout. Every episode has been awesome, but like these last 3 episodes have just been insane. Everything about them, you know, has just been perfect. Like, you know, but yeah, I mean, I just have to say, I know you have a really long list of all of them, but we got so many cameos in so many minutes, and it was awesome. I loved everything that we got to see, and we'll get into the list in a second, but the one we didn't get, which was surprising, I actually thought maybe they were going to cue to it, was Spider-Man cameo. But in place of that, we did get something that I did not expect at all. We got a Peter Parker and MJ together cameo, which was probably even more insane. I definitely didn't have that on my bingo card that we were going to get both of them together because my memory is a little hazy. I am going to start a rewatch for the Spider-Man series, but I don't think they were together by the end of that series. So that's like, they got some explaining to do, and I'm hoping that we may get, you know, a resurgence of that series also, which would be awesome if they could fill in the gap there. That would be really cool. But the other thing, before I get to like make my intro too long, I loved Rogue using Gambit's catchphrase.
His name was Gambit. Remember it.
Oh, powerful. Very good.
Oh, perfect.
Loved it.
Just perfect. Absolutely loved that part. But there are so many parts of this finale that are just incredible, and we're gonna spend, you know, the duration of this video just pointing out all of the cool moments of this finale. I mean, it was great, awesome in every way possible. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions for the finale?
Yeah, this was literally a jam-packed finale full of like so many cameos here that I'll get into in a second. But it was also had a ton of great action. A lot of like kind of creepy moments as well between like when it came to the animation style. And then of course you're jamming in a lot of like, you know, stuff that's teasing what's going to happen later on. And then you got some really like amazing emotional moments as well. Like this finale really had everything. Like that was like a really nice like cherry on top of the story they've been telling throughout the entire like 10 episode run of the season. Like everything really connected to itself and wrapped itself up in a bow in like a perfect way. I don't use the word perfect very often, but I feel like this was actually a very perfect way of wrapping up the story they've been telling throughout these 10 episodes. So yeah, I really love that. But getting right into I'll start first with the intro card because we didn't get that many changes in this one. But we do get a couple in the finale, which I thought were really cool. We get a shot of young Xavier and Magneto. Like I'm taking taking a guess, it's like in the 60s or 70s, like around when they first meet. And they're fighting. I don't know who they're fighting alongside each other, but just kind of gives a little shot of them side by side working together, which I thought was really cool. And then another shot of the Hellfire Club, which was kind of like getting inside of Charles's mind, which I thought was an interesting like kind of imagery to kind of pull out for the finale. I wonder if that's just like saying that they're going to be play a little bit role in like the story, maybe in season 2 or 3, who knows? But I love that. And then of course the cameo list is what is just absolutely insane. We get Captain America and Iron Man right off the bat, which I thought was really cool. And you're like, okay, we've seen Cap before, but like, okay, we really get to see Iron Man, and I think he's even got the design of the '90s series too.
Yeah,
like, all of them are designed from their own like '90s series, which is really great. We get a Doctor Strange cameo, doing some surgery in the dark, which I thought was really awesome, and of course like the way they're invoking like the whole MCU style of Doctor Strange's magic into like how we see Doctor Strange's magic in all forms is really awesome. Daredevil was probably my favorite one of the entire one.
that one was cool.
You get to see Daredevil in the streets of Hell's Kitchen doing stuff. He doesn't need no light because he can help out whatever he needs to do. It's perfect. One of the more interesting ones here for me was the Black Panther cameo, because it's T'Chaka and not T'Challa. I wonder if it's because like they want to like again they've been kind of doing that whole thing with like staying away with recasting I guess T'Challa, keeping it as Chadwick's, but I guess also if you timeline version likewise, T'Chaka could still be king in Black Panther in this because even in the movie he's still king in Black Panther in the early 90s, while T'Challa's still a young boy, so I guess it still makes sense there. You mentioned before Peter Parker and Mary Jane, which I thought was really cool, like just because we had to see them in their Peter in his unsuited form. I get to see him as Peter was really great, and again it's that classic 90s animation design too, which is even more makes me more like Cloak and Dagger, which is kind of like the most like surprising one to me because I think they're just a really cool duo, and like when they just kind of pulled that random cameo, I was like, oh dang, they're really like going in there with some of these random hero cameos, and I love seeing them, particularly Psylocke in the Alpha Flight was really cool too. Just because Psylocke to me has just been always one of the cooler X-Men characters. Omega Red, Silver Samurai, those guys come back. And then we get a great shot when we're in Magneto and Xavier's head of like Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Polaris. Like she's kind of like the forgotten Magneto child that everyone doesn't realize. She's really great on the Gifted show that was on Fox a long time ago. And then the last but not least, Morph turning into Mr. Fantastic again, from the 90s animation series design too. So like they're really sticking to this like whole connected 90s animated series universe, kind of doing this thing. And I really love that. And yeah, so long list of cameo stuff there with a lot of cool little like story bits behind them, which I really love. And great action, great character moments. It was just an awesome finale.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really fun. Like I didn't even, I mean, there were certain ones that I didn't even know. Like I vaguely recognized. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm so glad. I even told you before we started recording, I'm so glad you put out the full list because it's like, these are perfect. Like I remember seeing all of them and a lot of them I knew right off the bat, but like, there were a couple there that I was like, who's that?
Oh yeah. They had some deep cuts in there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so much fun. Like just being able to sit there and go, oh, can we see all of these people next season? Like now we're getting pretty much everything we asked for because I know it was you, but I can't remember which episode that we were recapping when you mentioned it, but you were saying you were hoping we were going to get an expanded roster type of thing. Like, where we're not just focusing on the core team that we already know type of thing from the original 90s series type of thing. And it looks like they are kind of, showing us like spreading out as much as possible, even in like bits and pieces. So
yeah, for sure.
Already planting the seeds to be able to do that. But you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to give up big takeaways with this. Boom. We called it. The Phoenix has entered the building or the island. I don't know. Anyway, that was an awesome scene. And that's exactly, what I thought was going to happen. And like when we were predicting last episode, I was like,
she came and went too, which is
exactly
cool.
yeah. But I mean, what she did to Mr. Sinister was incredible.
Ooh, man. And how about Morph just kind of getting in that little troll aspect, like, no, you look pretty good to me, and like doing the
Yeah, you
same
look
face. Oh,
exactly the
that was
same.
so good.
Oh, that was such a good. That was
Which is
such
a
a good.
great look because all the like again the intro card we've always seen those shots of Sinister tormenting Morph
Yeah.
and just like their history together. So to see him just kind of get that last laugh was just so like so good.
Oh, that was awesome. But it just goes to show, like, that was such a good, like, minute and a half type of
Hmm.
thing. But like that just goes to show how much actually happened in this. How many different
So
storylines
so much.
were going at the same time, because at the exact same time we were having, Charles and Magneto in Magneto's head, and we were having, what was happening on Asteroid M, and like all of this stuff is happening at the same, like so many different storylines were happening at the exact same time,
Hmm.
but it all made sense, like in the long run. Like, it was just crazy how many different moments and how much we had in this. Like, it just unpacking it is so awesome to be able. I mean, I know you always do a rewatch, but I actually, normally watch it once and I take notes while I'm doing it, type of thing. I
Yeah.
watched it more than once because I was just like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
just want to
usually
watch it
do
again.
just one watch, but for this show, I've had to do multiple watches just because they do put so much in there. Just
Yeah.
like I don't want to gloss over something that happened over something like just because of something there's a lot that happened. Like I feel like we're always glossing over just something. So you want to give everything its due credit when it comes to like acknowledging
Yeah.
it.
And I didn't see you point this out, and I apologize if you were going to talk about this, but we kind of got the big bad that you wanted, because I mean, Bastion kind of turned into something that looked similar to the Onslaught
It was
guy.
very Archangel to me, which I
Oh,
thought was
okay.
interesting to me as well. Like I wasn't sure what they were going for with Bastion's like kind of final form. I do like that he was kind of like the actual big bad at the end.
Yeah.
Like I can't like just they stuck with that. I think and I'll get in a little bit more prediction because I do think they also do tease some onslaught still going forward. I think there's still ways they can go forward with that. But yeah, part of me I was wondering like, are they gonna make him like just kind of like this series version of Onslaught? I was wondering if he's gonna grab a hold of Magneto's helmet and put it on him at some point and kind of give us that full
Ooh.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. But what were some of your takeaways from the finale?
Um, yeah, okay, so really, the season finale and really the whole series so far in general has really just kind of. I'm really glad that gave Cyclops such a leading spot in this kind of storyline here. Like they gave him a really strong story arc to kind of go through the entire season, and it went from his relationship with Cable, which really pays off wonderfully here. I really like that whole scene between him and Cable and Jean when they're kind of like going through like I want to do the thing my father didn't do and all that stuff, and it's kind of going through that whole acceptance thing with Cable. I thought that was just amazing. And then of course him having like his big hero moment as well when he's going one on one with Bastion. I
Yeah.
thought that was really like fantastic. And how he was willing to give his life in order to do that, just like you said, like Jean did, and kind of like how Cable, like Cable went on to live on his own as well. So now it's basically Scott's turn to kind of do that same thing for his family. So I really love that, and also how they're kind of making this like it's not going to end here in season 2. It's going to continue on. Like it's not just Cyclops and Jean and Cable. It's the whole Summers family, which I'll get into a little bit more in predictions as well. Because again, they're setting up some really cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it really just goes to show how the original movies didn't do this character justice because there's so much potential for real massive storylines with this character, and I think they've only scratched the surface in this first season, and I can't wait to see what they do in next season and possibly season 3 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally in agreement. And I've said this already during this series while we've been recapping the series. I didn't, grow up being the biggest Cyclops fan. And it had nothing against the character. I think he's cool. He's got a cool power set and all that stuff. But it
Mhm.
was always like, he was like the straight and narrow, and you
Yeah,
had
the
like,
Boy Scout.
yeah, and Wolverine's the cool one. So like
Yeah.
you kind of want to be Wolverine. Like Wolverine's the edgy, brooding one type of
Kind of
thing.
like the
Like,
Batman and Superman argument, right? A lot
yeah,
of people gravitate towards Batman because of that same kind of like badass nature when Superman's the Boy Scout.
correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think we got a little look at him breaking through that, but not only that, but kind of, and it sounds really weird to say this, but almost being more human. Like when he breaks during that interview, like in one of the episodes during
Oh
the
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and he kind of snaps and like you know what I mean? Like we were
Yeah, he
getting
lashes
kind of
out.
more glimpses of him not being the Boy Scout, not being like reserved and stuff like that. And then we had the real emotion when we brought in Cable and stuff like that. Like we kind of slowly we got eased into that type of thing. And I think it gave him a much better rounded character in general. So now it's like, yeah, I do like that character now.
Yeah.
I still like Wolverine, but I like him more than I did.
Yeah, it adds a lot of layers to him,
Right.
which is like, just rather than like you said, the straight and narrow kind of Boy Scout character. It shows how real complex his kind of character arc really is, and also it enhances Cable as a character too, because he's kind of seen as kind of like this grumpy curmudgeon guy
Yeah.
from the future who's got to like fight stuff from the past and all that to save his to save his family in the future as well, right? But now we kind of learn that he's kind of going through some stuff. Like, he's got daddy issues, and he adjusted daddy issues, and this, and he kind of felt he never felt accepted by his family because he was cast out into the future and never really got to like be a part of that adventure. And then now like they kind of reassured him like, no, you were part of those adventures. Like, of course you were. So like that was a really great moment. I love the moment where Jean kind of lets Cable see Scott's eyes too. I thought that was just again those powerful emotional moments. Again, we're in the midst of all this great action in this finale. And then all these cameos and spectacle moments, and we're getting these amazing deep character moments as well. So again, just like again, kudos to the right team, just fantastic stuff.
Oh yeah, they did it the best way possible. They gave us pretty much everything we could have asked for. Like we get the cameos, we get the cool battle moments, we get
fantastic
the cool
music.
Yeah,
again, I always talk about how great music enhances these things. Man, this one again, there's some amazing music moments in this.
yeah, absolutely. And we get the catchphrases we want. I mean, we've got Magneto's catchphrase again, type of thing. Like just just so many things. But you want to get to some predictions?
Sure do.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions? Because I know you've got a supersized prediction.
There's a lot here that I think they tease a lot.
Oh,
First of all, and first of all, what more can I say? Like, I think the Age of Apocalypse has officially begun. With the whole, Magneto lives and he kind of restores the power, but then at the end, they teleport off. Like, we're not 100% sure what exactly causes that particular thing, right? So that's a mystery to be solved in season 2. But we find our team split up in basically three eras of time. Like, we get the modern day X-Men that were left on Earth when they disappeared. Some of them get transported into the BC era, or ancient Egypt, where they meet young Apocalypse, and I thought that was great. I knew right away. I was like, "What's your name?" And I go, "Oh, it's Esteban Nera. There it is." And he says it. I was like, "There it was." And then, but the real kicker was getting to see the future. We see Scott and Jean end up in the future, and they meet Mother Ascani, which in the comics is Rachel Summers. So she's actually related to Scott and Jean. And some, I'm not sure if it's the daughter or no, I think it's a way distant relative, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe related to Cable in some form. So, and then of course we saw young Cable there as well, young Nathan, or at least so we think. So again, there's so much there that we think we know, but we obviously don't know how they're gonna maybe twist it and make it, turn on its head, so that it's just not like straightforward as we think it is. And then of course we get that post-credit teaser of modern day Apocalypse in Genosha picking up the Queen of Hearts card and acknowledging the word death, of course. So we're getting Gambit as the Horseman of Death. I think that's got to be a lock in my opinion, and I'm very excited to see how that's going to be. I'm very excited to see what other X-Men he recruits into his Horseman, especially in the past. I think Magneto's there and all that stuff. We could see some pretty wild stuff as far as like our X-Men as Horsemen. Even Wolverine as well. Like, I think a modern day Wolverine that he was left on, I think, on Earth, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we could see Apocalypse might find a way to put the adamantium back into his body and like make him a Horseman of his own. That would be pretty crazy. There's a lot there. I think the cameo fest itself was setting up maybe a possible tease of Avenger versus X-Men. Maybe in Avenger, I would imagine this is like a season 3 thing that you set up, unless you're going to split up the season between the Age of Apocalypse and Avengers and X-Men. There's a lot of storylines I imagine they're going to be splitting up because you got 3 eras of time to cover. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with that. because the future we could set up kind of like the Messiah complex storyline when it comes to the summers and all that. Again, the Age of Apocalypse stuff. And then the Forge and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the other guy's name
Bishop.
now. Bishop, yes, I was gonna say Bastion, but Bishop.
The other B word.
Yeah, it's the be a beast, you know. But again, behind Forge is like, you know, you get the photos of all the X-Men. You guys see the presumed off-world. We get a couple who are AWOL, which I thought was interesting. I think it was like Cable and somebody else. I can't remember who. But that always gave me like Days of Future Past, evoking that cover, because it's the whole like, you know, mugshots on the wall type thing, and then kind of seeing like where they are in terms of that sort of storyline. So I feel that they're going to blend a lot of stuff here and kind of make it their own, which I'm really excited to see. And then I think Apocalypse could still find a way to make Onslaught happen as well. I don't know about you, but I still want Onslaught to appear. I think we were kind of faked out in this season, but I think we could. I think there's still a chance we could still see Onslaught in some form.
Look, there are no wrong answers. We
Too many.
We have no idea what we know and what we don't know. Like you said, I mean, we don't even know what caused them to be teleported in the first place and why they were split up and you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. Like you know, the Summers were on the same thing. So like you would think if they went by groups, then they would all have
why were they split up? Yeah, that's
exactly. So there's got to be something controlled that. Like you know what I mean? Like something we're gonna have to get some sort of tease or hint at what did that, because something split that group up type of things. All of them were together. So yeah. There was so much. I mean, I put this down immediately on the rundown too. It was I need a season 2 now. Like I don't want to.
I need these questions answered.
Yeah, I don't want to wait at all. But look, I love the last few minutes were just all of these setups and all of these teases and all of this and all of that. Like I just every single one just kind of gotten better and better and better and just was like. It led to kind of my favorite moment, and I was telling you this, and also number one, I watched it a couple of times when I first watched the episode, but then I found a clip of it just when I was scrolling, and out of context, it is comedic gold, and it's just the moment when we have all of the X-Men that got sent to the past standing on the hill after they've kind of figured out that they're talking to a younger Apocalypse, and they zoom out and they show all of them on the ridge, and Beast just goes,
"Oh dear,
oh dear."
Yeah.
It just cuts to black and says to be continued. But it is comedic gold taken out of context. Like I want to pair that at the end of just like ridiculous clips on the internet now, and just. Just have Beast, like that's Beast's reaction to everything type of thing.
Classic Beast, man.
Oh, it's my favorite. It like all the seasons are great. Don't get me wrong. I cannot wait for season 2. But that being the last thing before we go to the beginning of the credits was perfect. And they knew exactly what they were doing, because I want that clip cut out and put on the end of just goofy videos all the time now. Like that's what I want forever.
The moment I did love too, and they paid this off from the premiere, I think, is of course Beast hacking the Sentinel and doing like, you know, controlling the Sentinel kind of like his own little puppet, which they paid off, of course, from the series premiere when he did the exact same thing when he went inside of it and then started to control all of it. And I like the way they flipped it right on Bastion, literally on top of Bastion's head, with him landing on top of him. And I was like, ooh, nice. Beast coming in with like his cool entrance and just being, you know, classic Beast.
Yeah. And speaking, I mean, you said this earlier in this video where like some of the styles got really creepy. Bastion just got creepier and creepier as they were fighting.
The more he
him.
got dismantled, and that's particularly what I was talking about. Yeah, for sure. I was like, ooh, that's nasty.
That's gonna haunt my dreams for a while. Like just that face. Oh, that face at the end. Woo.
And then he had some great one-on-one moments with some characters too. Like he had a great him and Nightcrawler went at it, but Jubilee kicked his ass.
Yeah,
Jubilee got a nice little moment where she got to look cool for a second. And then I looked away to like some mock, and I was like, oh yeah, you want to mock me some more? But it's like, yeah, let's give Jubilee her moment to kind of knock him around a little bit. So I loved every second of that.
it was great, and I mean, it really did show the individual like strength of each one. And not by strength, I don't mean strength like brute force, but the individual strengths of each person that got to, go one-on-one with
She knocked his
Bastion.
wings off, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's powerful.
It was, I mean, it was just every part of it was good. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like we could sit here and just pick apart every different scene and every different kind of smaller battle, and they were just all great. They were just as great as all the cameos that were there. Like
Cyclops and Morph both using Jean as a way to motivate Logan to heal in different ways.
Yep.
Morph was a little bit weirder, I think, a little bit, but it also kind of shows like their bond as well. But I think again, it was going back to Cyclops' character arc. I thought the way that he's like, do it for Jean. Like, I know you love her, just like do for her. Like, I know you just do what you're good at. I thought that was a really cool part of like his character arc as well. It's just again, growth. I think it's all about growth for him. And I think he's been doing a great job with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough how awesome this finale was, and I just can't wait for season 2. Like at this point, I'm just sitting here. I mean, not only season 2, but I'm really hoping that the popularity of this proves that it would be awesome to kind of revisit some of these other 90s series. So like the Spider-Man series, like that's the one I'm looking at, especially. Like I would love to see some new seasons of that taken into the same care and consideration that this series was. Like
this would be a good way to bring back Iron Man, I think, and kind of go into like his actual comic book rogues gallery too. I think it's just a cool way to kind of sell single Tony stories without having to be like, we gotta get Robert Downey Jr. like that. Like, we just have a cool Tony show at the animation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I know I say this a lot, but the sky's the limit. I'm here for any ideas that this kind of writing team, animation team has. Like, let's go. Like, let's just let them get.
Yeah, Marvel Animation is just like green light everything right now.
Yeah, do whatever they say is good. Like, let's just go. I want a season 2. I want other series. Let's go right now. But anyway, as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the season 1 finale of the X-Men 97 series? And what are you hoping we're getting in a season 2 and hopefully even a season 3? Like, oh man, there's so many storylines that were teased. There were so many things that were teased. What are you hoping the most for when we start our season 2 journey? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.